How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now, do you guys remember a couple of years back when the RTX 3000 series launched, there was a meme going around that showed just the size increase from generation to generation to generation, showcasing that the 4000 series are going to be double the 3000 series because that was double the 2000 series almost. And then the 5000 series is going to be like even larger, and then later on it's going to be the size of an entire PC case. But now, that was then, and this is now. So here we have the brand new RTX 4090, and the meme kind of comes true in a sense here. So jokes aside, this is just going to be an unboxing video of the new Gigabyte Gaming OC RTX 4090. No benchmarks or anything like that because I don't have drivers and I'm not allowed to do anything, but we do have the card here and just show you guys actually how it looks before we get into performance later on. And then just for reference, I brought my Gigabyte Vision RTX 3080 just for a size comparison to see the size difference. So anyway, let's quickly take a look at this new card, go over the specs and also some of the very nice features that I'm looking forward to from Nvidia, not necessarily to do with the card, but there's actually quite a few cool stuff that Nvidia is actually doing. Alright, so let's quickly get it out of the box here, and we can, while we're doing that, we can talk about the specs. Now, this of course is the 4090. It's going to be probably a 4090 Ti later on as well. But this is currently the top of the range card, and it's going to have a price range to boot with a starting MSRP of $1,600, and I don't even know what it's going to cost here in South Africa. Probably close to 80 to 100,000 Rand, I'm guessing. I'm honestly not too sure. But here we have the card, and this is actually the first time that I'm actually going to take a look at it as well. We can quickly, let's move that to the side first and see what else we get. So we have our new PCI Express Gen 5 power connector here, which looks pretty crazy. We're gonna take a look at that. You have your GPU support brackets because you're pretty much going to need that, and then over here you do have some additional screws for that as well. Alright, so let's get this massive thing out here. Oh, this thing is heavy and it's so thick. Just look at that coolie. The funny thing is like that's the power supply. Usually you get like 3 of the 8 pins for like the top series cards. Now it's just like a normal 12 pin, but we'll talk about that later on. I'm just kind of blown away by the size of this thing. Now I have seen some other unboxings of the 4090s, but seeing it in person, this is kind of mind-blowing. Before we get into anything else, let's just quickly show a size comparison. So again, this is the 3080 Vision from Gigabyte. It's not the most massive card, but it's a pretty large card, I will say. But take a look at the size difference there. We just slide it into proportions there. So longer, it's almost double the thickness. It's even wider. That's crazy. From the front, you can even see how much taller it is. Oh wow, this is going to be quite an interesting car, I will say. Wow. Okay. Alright, so that's it for our size comparison. Let's quickly do a peel because there's a lot of peeling action that we can have here. There we go. And we have the back. Boom. There we go. Jeez. Now just quickly, let's talk about specs with this card, because it does have 16,384 CUDA cores. It has 24 gigs of GDDR6X memory, a 384-bit memory bus. It has a clock speed over 2,000 megahertz. I currently don't have the exact numbers for this card, but being that the OC version is even going to be higher than the Founders Edition. Alright, so staring right into our face is of course these massive fans. Comparing it to the previous card, you guys can just see how much smaller the fans on the 3080 was compared to the new one. So these look to be like 100mm or 110mm fans, which hopefully helps up with the cooling. But I mean, the meme could be true. The next version we can see 120mm fans. How thick that thing's going to be. But just like the previous cards, you'll see that these two runs clockwise, this one runs counterclockwise. But let's quickly take a look at the side for the fin. So just look again how freaking thick that thing is. I mean, compared to my face, this thing is massive. Now on the side here, you do have your GeForce RTX logo, which nothing really seems to be there, but you do have your light up Gigabyte logo here on the side. You do have your BIOS switch here for probably quiet mode and also performance mode. And then you have your new 12-pin PCI Express 5 connector. And this is where this is coming into play. So let's quickly take a look at our power connector here. And I think this is going to be a problem for a lot of people because firstly, you're going to need a lot of power. Now, some of the information showed that it uses around 450 watts, but it's probably going to be more than that, depending on the card you're actually going for as well. The OCs will of course use more, but on the box, Gigabyte recommends a 1000-watt power supply. And I don't have a 1000-watt power supply with me, so luckily Coolmaster is sending one over for me, so for all of our testing and everything. But this is currently how the new connection looks. You do have your 12-pin connections here, and then you do also have an additional connection here at the top. Apparently supplies information between the power supply and the GPU so that they don't overwork each other apparently. Once I actually do my full review, I'll have a bit more information on that, but apparently that is how that one works. And also there was some stuff going around that if this adapter actually bends too much, that could heat up the cable and potentially burn it out. But we'll see if that maybe is better now. But seeing that it's going from one connection to 4, yeah, I can imagine that. The amount of power that needs to go through all of these connections to just like 12 pins. But it kind of just connects like that. So that is how your card is going to look in your case, which doesn't look the greatest in my honest opinion. So I think a lot of PCs aren't going to look the best anymore. So hopefully somebody can make like a 90-degree version, or maybe potentially put it on the back side or on the side here, because that doesn't look too great, honestly. Also, you'll notice that the PCB, just like the previous cards, is a bit shorter. So the PCB actually only goes till there, where this is just cooling for the air to actually pass through. So you'll see that on the back here, of course, you do have your massive back plate, but just look at this massive gap here for the 110 or 100mm fan just to blow through to get cool air out. Again, taking a look at the previous one, kind of look at that size comparison. I will say that I have seen some other cards with bigger air ventilation pass-throughs, but compared to the Vision here, but that is quite a big of a difference between the two. But you're definitely going to need all of the cooling performance you can get with this card. So, well, we'll see how it does. Take a look on the side here. You do have some additional connections here. And again, just a massive amount of fins here for cooling. On the back here, you don't really get anything there. Then take a look at our I/O here. We have our single HDMI 2.1 port. You do have a 3 DisplayPort version of 1.4s. But now again, this was just an unboxing of video, no benchmarks, anything like that, because again, we don't have any drivers, unfortunately, and we're not even allowed to. So, but there are some leaked benchmarks showcasing the performance of this card, and it's looking pretty good. With just a normal benchmark showcasing up to is like 50% in some applications, some games. But I think the biggest advantage for these new cards is going to be the new DLSS 3.0, because that looks honestly amazing. So the previous DLSS 2.0 worked. It actually rendered your image at a lower resolution, and because of that it increased your frames and then just upscaled that back to the wanted resolution. So you're rendered at 1080p but you're playing at 4K, upscaling that to 4K, and it does get very close to the original actually 4K resolution quality. But now with the new ones, they take that a step further, still doing that, but now they're also adding new frames in between frames to get even more frames out, which looks really cool. If you guys want to see a bit more, I will leave a link in the video description actually showcasing how the optical flow works and all of that. So if you want to read a bit more, you can check that out. But now, unfortunately, optical flow only looks to work on the new RTX 4000 series cards. It's not going to work on the previous cards, but you will still get a DLSS 2.0 and all of the upscaling and all of that. But I mean, if you buy more of a mid-range or budget card, let's say once the 4050 or 4060 actually comes out, you're gonna get a massive performance increase. That is also, of course, if the game actually supports all of these new features, which a lot of games do actually. Now, along with that, the new ray tracing looks amazing as well. Nvidia's making huge progress there. They actually showcased an RC car video where the lighting and everything, it just looks so realistic. Now, that wasn't necessarily a game, but it just showcases the potential of ray tracing and how games could look later on. Now, probably the thing that I'm most excited for, which does have some criticism from some people, is the RTX remix. So currently how that works, this is so cool. So you can take an older game, for the example that I had is a Morrowind from Elder Scrolls. You can then import objects, environments, and lighting, and then play it with that in it. So if you're a modder, which again, the Elder Scrolls community and just the PC community in general is like massive, you can make so many changes. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you guys all of the things you can actually do, so I will leave a link in the video description for the video as well. But once you actually import all of the older game, you can change the objects, you can change a table's legs in real time, you can change all of the lighting scenarios. Everything works inside in a video's studio there, which it's honestly crazy the amount of stuff you can actually do then. And again, being that the PC modding community is so big, I can't imagine the stuff they're going to do. Now, even though I'm a massive Elder Scrolls fan, I've never actually played Morrowind because, again, the graphics. Now, I know a lot of people like, oh, no, you played for the story and all of that. But honestly, I need the graphics to look good. Even after like 10 years going back to an older game that I loved, Fallout 3, let's say, it just doesn't look this and feel the same. So I need the graphics to be somewhat comparable to new games being released. I know I'm graphics snob and all of that, but if you have a card like this, then you kind of have to be. But now with this new RTX remix, and I will actually be able to enjoy the game at proper graphics, proper resolution. It looks so cool. Again, I'll leave a link in the video description for the video because they talk a lot about a lot of other features, so definitely check that out. But in short, this is why we have the PC Master Race, and now it's the PC Modding Master Race. But now that's pretty much it for my look at the Gigabyte Gaming OC RTX 4090. A massive card. I honestly don't see how this is going to fit in a mid-tower case. You will need to go full tower to actually fit this card in, or not have any fans in the front of your case. But is it actually worth the price? Probably not. For 99% of people, it's not going to be needed. You can actually get a second-hand RTX 3090 and 3090 Ti's, even 3080s and 3080 Ti's at a much lower price point, and it's still going to perform so well. I mean, you can even play like 8K games on the new 3090 and so on. So it's not really needed. But now where it might be useful is more for production style of work, 3D animators, game developers, where that 24 gigs of memory is going to be very needed, and then also just the speed at which it can actually render above, again, 2 gigahertz clock speed. So there it might actually be useful. But of course, then you also get quadro cards, so I'm not exactly where it's going to fit in, especially because 8K gaming, this is where 8K gaming will work. But I haven't seen any 8K monitors really, especially for gaming, so I'm not sure really. But now that's pretty much it. What's your opinion, you guys? Are you actually going to upgrade to a 4090? Or are you going to stick with your current card? Are you potentially planning to upgrade to, let's say, a 4060 once that's being released? Pricing, we'll see actually how that works. But let me know down in the comments below. Also, a big shout out to Gigabyte South Africa for sending the card over for this unboxing, also for the full review later on. If you guys want to get it for yourself, I will leave a link in the description once it's actually available. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment like always. I want to check all of you guys next time. Cheers, guys.